So we are joined by the women's 4x100 top 4 finishers in this evening's women's 100-meter freestyle. I have all the way at the end Natalie Hinds, followed by Olympian Olivia Smoliga. Next to her, Erika Brown. Next to me, Abbey Weitzeil. So I'll ask to please raise your hand. We'll get you the mic, and we'll start with the first question.
All right, for Olivia and Natalie, I wanted to talk a little bit about your friendship and what this means to you guys to be on this relay together, just how your friendship developed after, especially after you made your comeback, Natalie, and just what does this mean for you guys together?
I'll go first. Yeah, like this is such a full circle moment for us. I know Liv feels the same. I mean, she has been there with me since I was out of shape, and since we've gone through the ups and the downs, all the pro swim series, all the hard practices. And this is just so special. Like we were saying earlier, we were next to each other in this final, and she breathes to her right, and I breathe to my left, so it was literally like practice. I mean, kind of glorified, but it was really nice to have that, and I think that really helped us for tonight.
Yeah, this is incredible to have been right next to Nat, right next to Abby, because I know both of them take it out. So I know I have to do work coming back, but I like it that way. This has been incredible. It's been really hard. This meet is tough, and to have done it with Nat, she makes me my best. 3 years.
3 years.
She moved to Athens after taking a hiatus. I remember we took pictures in 2016 in the back. Do you remember?
Yeah, so we took pictures in 2016.
And just like...
And didn't know that 5 years later, like we'd be up here talking about our 100 free finals. So it's really cool.
It's really cool.
For Erika, you had a lot of success in short course with your underwaters and butterfly, but moving into long course, you kind of had to reinvent yourself as a 100 freestyler. What was that process like, and what does that mean that it's obviously paid off in the biggest way?
Yeah, looking back at my sophomore year of college, I remember that summer was really difficult. I did not perform the way I wanted, but I think everything happens for a reason, and it really motivated me to continue working hard and really focus on all the details, and it's really exciting to see it finally paying off.
What were some of the specific things you did to make yourself into a long course freestyle?
Yeah, so obviously my underwaters really helped me short course, so I really had to focus on my stroke and distance per stroke and making those turns really count, so accelerating into those turns, and I can't use as many underwaters, so I really had to focus on my stroke.
To all of you, first of all, congratulations. Curious about the pandemic and going through all that. Do you think it helped you in the sense of you're here now versus maybe where you would have been last year? Or is it kind of a wash that it really didn't, matter? I know there's some people who that extra year was very helpful. Other people, it wasn't so helpful. Obviously, you're all here, so there's something worked out right. But just curious if you could talk about the pandemic and how you think you came out of it, and is this timing actually ending up to be pretty good for all of you? Thanks.
I think it was, I don't want to speak for everyone, but coming up with different ways to be great and to work through adversity and challenges is, I don't want to say perfect because it's been a really hard year for so many, but it's a really interesting setup for Olympic trials, which is you have to go through certain challenges and finding ways to get better, stay consistent, even with when stuff isn't on your side, with less pool time, less gym time, or whatever. I mean, it was different for all of us. We're all in different states throughout the country, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's hard for anyone to be like, yeah, I would have been better or not better last year, but definitely repeating what Olivia said, everyone went through something different, and I think finding, like, the way I looked at it was just a positive, more time to, take that break from swimming that we were forced to take for a second, change our mindset, and then enjoy coming back to it even more when we were able to, get back into full training and everything. So the way you look at it is differ by person, and obviously personal things that go on, and that was my personal way of doing it was just like being able to take the mental break after I accepted the fact that it was postponed, and then looking forward to it even more coming back to swimming.
Abby, Peggy Shin with TeamUSA.org. Sort of piggybacking on that, can you talk about what it was like to have your final NCAAs, canceled, and the effect that had on you? And then did you graduate from college, and did Cal have a ceremony you got to march?
Yeah, having NCs canceled sucked, honestly. I mean, everyone here has swam through college, and it's the best. It's so fun, and so having that canceled really was a bummer. And then shortly after, having the Olympics postponed shortly after that also wasn't very exciting. But like I just said, taking a mental break where I could. But I never had a ceremony. I graduated online, just like I watched my ceremony. I was with my friends though, but so yeah, it was definitely a different time. But yeah, I've graduated and everything, so swimming's now my life, which is pretty cool.
For all four of you, this relay, there's always so much hype around Australia and what they've been doing for the last few years, but it seems like 2019 Worlds, 2017 Worlds, US has stepped up to the occasion and almost, I don't want to say defied expectations, but has always risen and given Australia a good race. But now the four of you, which is what does it mean to be a part of this relay going forward for the Olympics?
I mean, I could just say that I'm really grateful. I just know that I've been watching all the, 2015, 2017, 2019 Worlds from my couch at home and being like, wow, that's so cool. And I think just sitting up here being a part of this relay is like a full circle moment. And, I'm just excited to do whatever I need to do to represent Team USA on this relay.
Yeah, this is my first time on a freestyle relay, my first time in a freestyle final at Olympic trials. But I think US Olympic trials are special in the sense that they set us up really well for the Olympic Games with how tough it is to even make the team itself. And I think we have a good relay up here.
Kind of to follow up on that, Abby, you said in the mix zone you think times have been kind of slow this week. What gives you the confidence that you and all these girls are going to be able to step up and really have a good one in this relay at the Olympics?
When you have the flag on your cap, you get stuff done. That's I'm confident in this relay, and I'm confident in Team USA, and we have our work cut out for us, no doubt. Like you mentioned, the Australians, they're fast, and they've been fast, and I've been on this relay, and it's tough, but it's fun. And when you have the flag on your cap, there's something else that comes out of you. So I'm confident that in these girls next to me that, like Olivia said, this meet is hard, and it sets you up to learn how to control certain things in your mind, and it'll be fun. It'll be hard, and it'll be fun, and we'll keep challenging them.
I got a mindset question for Abby and Olivia. We'll start with Abby. Just the last time we talked to you, talked about taming your mind behind the blocks. I wonder how well that worked and how hard that is at a meet like this. And then Olivia, just bouncing back from the 100 back, how were you able to, kind of flip the switch and get to that next point?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in my interview right after, I was nervous, and I think taming your nerves is definitely person by person and how you do that. And this is basically the most nerve-wracking meet I've ever been to. Olympic trials is just for reasons that I can't even explain. It's just it's a different meet. And I think just being more confident and self-talk in your head, and that your race can go one way or another simply based off what you're telling yourself in your head. And I think that I've learned to get past the negative thoughts a little bit more personally.
Yeah, this was really tough. I feel like part of the reason why I was so emotional after this 100 free was missing the team in the 100 back was so hard. It didn't hit me immediately after because I knew I had this 100 free coming up. But yeah, what you tell yourself, like Abby said, how you try to bounce back, is something I'm really grateful for, because it was really hard to get through it. But having the opportunity to race these girls here to push me to be my best. I mean, you don't put in years of work for nothing, but you have to remind yourself that. I mean, I can't even describe the things that were going on in my head after the 100 back, and how I really had to dig myself up out of it, but I'm just really proud of myself that I did. So
Hi, down here. For any of you guys, were any of you aware of what was going on with Simone this past 11 weeks? And could one of you speak, or all of you speak to what Simone has done in the 100 free in the U.S.?
Yeah, I can start. I am very, very proud of Simone, and I personally wasn't talking to her about what she was going through or anything. I've talked to her here at the meet, and I feel personally, and I'm sure these girls, I don't want to speak for anyone, we have big shoes to fill because she's such an amazing competitor and a part of Team USA, and I wish nothing but the best. I'm gonna be cheering my head off for her tomorrow in the 50 for sure as I'm swimming. I feel like I want her to do so well. I really want her with us on the team, and it's definitely, like I said, just big shoes to fill, and that's all I can say. She's an awesome person and teammate and leader and competitor, and she'll be missed on this relay, 100%.
Yeah, I think, going off what Abby said, during the pandemic and stuff, and being able to talk to her and try and, go through all of the Black Lives Matter stuff and things like that were going on during that time. It was really nice to have her to bounce ideas off with then too. So I, like Abby said, I feel for her. I kind of know, what she was going through and how she was trying to get through it. And I'm really proud of her. And I think she is literally one of the toughest people that I know. Very poised, very composed person. And yeah, I will be cheering for her in the 50 because if anybody is going to bounce back, it can be her. So I'm really happy, that she is, still here despite not feeling her best. And yeah, like Abby said, we have very big shoes to fill.
Natalie, to follow up a little bit on that conversation, as you certainly know, the nation is having a conversation about race, inclusion, diversity. Sorry, glasses get fogged up as I talk. And I apologize that I have to focus on just to you. I mean, we could all talk about this issue, so any of you that would like to discuss it, but I will put the question to you. Where is your sport in terms of racial diversity? What are your thoughts about it? What should the sport be doing to have more people who look like you and Simone in the sport? I'm just curious if you wouldn't mind giving us your thoughts, and if anyone would also would like to. Thank you.
So during the pandemic, there was a group formed called Team Black, and it was composed of past Olympians and then myself and active swimmers of minorities that were still swimming. And we kind of just put it together, and it was kind of just this loose idea. And right now it's an actual group that's working with USA Swimming. I personally just had to distance myself just to focus on trials, but I do know that USA Swimming has really been able to open the door for conversation and for those uncomfortable conversations. Sitting in on some of the meetings earlier this year, I didn't know what to expect. It's I'm just coming in here and I really was just observing everything, and it was kind of hard. Everybody's kind of tap dancing around this elephant in the room. So I think as of right now, USA Swimming is actively doing things and working with Team Black on what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. What grants can we come up with to help those minorities in the inner city learn how to swim, become, be put on swim teams that are competitive. That's a really big thing. And, it's what do you do with a child after they learn how to swim? So I think that's really the big focus with USA Swimming. And, you know, like they're coming into this kind of blind, so it's really up to like Team Black to help them, you know, steer them in the right direction, you know, bouncing ideas and stuff off. So I'm really proud of the group. I think it's composed of a lot of amazing people headed by Maritza. So I'm excited after this summer to get back in it and voice my opinion and help in any way that I can.
Hey Natalie, Megan Soyson from NBC. Can you share some more details about the break that you took and what you were doing during that time, and then what prompted you to come back? And then for Natalie and Olivia, like how much time do you guys spend together outside of the pool as friends?
So to answer your first question, I took a break after 2016 trials, and like after the 50, I just went home for 3 months, and then I graduated college and got a regular job, and then I moved to Atlanta, and I worked for Turner Broadcasting for a year-long internship, which I absolutely loved. And then I don't know, I just saw 2018 Nationals, and I was like, man, they're having a lot of fun. And I was sitting at a desk at a 9 to 5, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I feel like I had a conversation with my parents and decided like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And then I moved to Athens within like the next 5 days after that decision. And it was really scary. I feel like the reason I'm so emotional that I made this team is because I'm just really proud of like the courage and vulnerability that I showed myself, that like I had a goal and I did absolutely everything that I could do to obtain that goal, and I finally did. So that break for me was such a blessing, and I learned mostly that you know, walking on deck here, I was like, I have a different perspective. I know what life is like outside of swimming, and so I know how much I love swimming and how much this moment means to me. So I think that's what I learned from the break. It was a good mental break for me as well. And as for me and Liv, we spend a lot of time together. Yeah, like.
You remember, like, yeah, so when Nat made her decision to move to Athens, I remember we went to Thai Spoon.
We went to the Thai restaurant, like, the day I drove in.
Yeah, and she slept on my couch, like, for the weekend to just, like, see what's up, and then, like, the next week she moved it. She moved
and that's why it's, like, so emotional, because Liv was literally the first person I saw when I drove and parked in Athens, and she did nothing but help me. She helped me set everything up. She helped me with like setting up weights and coaches, and this is what we do here and this is how we do it. And so like I'm so grateful for her, and that's why this moment is so special for us.
Hi guys, this is for all four of you. I know you guys talked about self-talk and how important it is to stay positive, but could you put that in perspective? During the course of the pandemic, you had to do that literally every day, right? Because you didn't know when you would have the trials or the Olympics. So in terms of the pandemic and like self-talk and all of that, could you put all of that into perspective with the pandemic?
Yeah, I learned that I felt like before the pandemic I was anticipating a lot of things. Like I wasn't really in the moment. I felt like things were just happening really fast, if that makes sense. And so after I came to the conclusion that like, yeah, okay, we're not gonna have the Olympics this year, I think the pandemic taught me to be calm and be grateful for every single moment you have, because as we've seen, like people's lives were ripped apart by this pandemic, and I was blessed enough to just go home and be surrounded by my family and reground myself and be able to just, learn about myself for moments like we just had, where it's like you're about to swim in one of the biggest races of your life and you're like able to try and calm yourself down. So that's what I learned from the pandemic. I know we all probably took different lessons from it.
Yeah, same thing. I got to go home to Glenview for about 2 months, spend time with my family. I feel very grateful because I was able to have a gym in my basement, train with my brother a little bit. But that's not to say that it was all easy. I remember like moments of anxiety while being at home, being like, what's, things happening fast, kind of like, well, what's next? So it teaches you to kind of just go with the flow as much as possible, even though it is tough. sometimes, but we have a really good backbone at the University of Georgia, as I'm sure they do in Tennessee and Cal, with their coaches and their post-grad group, to be like, everybody's really kind of going through this, so you just got to keep going if it's what you want to do.
Yeah, for me, I was in college still and expecting to go to NCAAs, so having that taken away, I'm someone that likes to stick to a schedule, and I know exactly what's going on. That's kind of the way my brain works. Like, I just like to have a plan, so that was really difficult for me. Definitely learn to be patient and work on kind of that mental strength of not always having what you expect.
Yeah, very similar to everyone, but I think my biggest lesson was to find other things in life that I really like to do, and not just bank on swimming. I was in Berkeley the whole time with all of our new teammate, Katie McLaughlin. Me and Katie were in Berkeley just together. Honestly, none of the rest of our team was there. Just trying to find pool time around the bay. Honestly, we had a blast doing random things, but I got a job. I worked at a brewery. Like, I just did other things to kind of
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. It was great. Yeah, I just did other things other than swimming while I still tried to swim. And so I think just not just trying to focus on swimming the whole time and drive myself crazy is kind of what I learned about myself, that I like to have other things outside of it.
All right, this question is for Abbey and Erika. Just if you guys can each answer what the moment was like when you really saw the board and it sunk in that you guys had made it, and also you guys are teammates now. You had some pretty epic races in college against each other. You guys both had set American records at one point in a matter of weeks. Just what is it like now being instant teammates now that you guys touched the wall 1-2 like that?
It's full circle. No, it's awesome. I honestly, when I touched the wall, I was like, who else got in? I was like, I saw Nat's name, I saw Smog's name. It took me a second to find yours, and I was like, I saw my time, and I was like, okay, and then I was like, who else? And I was like, Nat, and then I was like, Smog's, and I was like, just looking for everyone else, honestly, and then I was like, oh my gosh, like, so pumped that, like, everyone else got this shot, too. Like, I felt like it took me a second to be like, oh, I did it. Cool, but like, first thing I saw was everyone else's name. It was cool, and it's awesome to be, everyone races in college, I feel like, and then it comes full circle and you race against each other at trials, and then you're on the same team, and there's nothing like being on Team USA together, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing. Like, I've visualized that for a long time, but it's definitely surreal seeing that up there, and very exciting to see their names too. It's going to be a great relay.
Great, thank you everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you.